Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of An Author's Kiss, right here in selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful repeat guest is Krystal Hille. Krystal and I worked on a wonderful platform called Our Forgotten Children, which, as you know, has been a passion of mine of bringing people together to contribute a chapter on what is wrong with the systems with our children. And I was putting it together on my own, and she came to my rescue and compiled it together with a beautiful cover and putting it all together because that is her expertise. And we are going to be working together on some future books because I've got the people and the passion. I don't have the expertise. That is her arena. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be talking about book titles. Choosing a great title for your book that attracts attention can be valuable, but it can also be intimidating, and going solo can also be a little overbearing at first. But whether you're going solo or collaborating in a book, becoming an author not only shares your why and passion, but it gives you credibility too. Knowing this, that it's writing a solo book can be scary for some, and doing a multi-author book amazing for the community and potential collaborations, but can also feel a little drowning in the sea of voices. Krystal has created a new hybrid format for where she features 5 authors in one book. In just 3 years, she has worked with 200 contributors from 24 countries, or probably more than that. And she is truly an international indie publisher. Uh, the amount of work that she does and the passion that she does, she takes her authors up, whether it's a solo book or whether it's a collaboration book, she takes them up into that bestseller. And the beauty of working with people in a collaborative book, whether you're a person that's used to putting out a book solo, but the beauty of a collaborative book, it's a community. Everybody is sharing their particular chapter, so it expands your story as well. You get to know the people that you're working with. There is more than just getting the book out there. She does podcasts and everything else. And of course, I'm very happy to do podcasts of all her people as well. And it's about expanding the story. So if you are a beginner, maybe that 5 per book is maybe where you need to be. If you are very confident and you want to get your story out, being a solo one, she'll just nurture you all the way through it. She's got your back. And of course, coming next spring, we're going to be putting one out for our coaches, which is mastering your self-discovery wisdom from renowned coaches from around the world. And it doesn't matter if you're female, male, coach, mentor, counselor, it's all about what you're doing for other people. And that's going to be a passion project for next year. But this year, I'm quite fascinated with what she's doing with the 5 people per book as that lovely intro. Welcome back, Krystal.
Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. Thank you for having me.
Always. And, I did a book back in 2017 with a publisher that actually ended up being a nightmare. And we only actually ended up being an ebook on iTunes and never getting anywhere else with it. And it was a lot of hard work. And I've had an awful lot of people approach me because I've wanted to do this podcast booking for a long time. And I've spoken with a lot of people, and it always seemed to be derived from money, push, push, push. And I never felt there was a connection about, but what about the content? Because to me, it's about the content that matters. What we're trying to get across, the people we're supporting with the message. And it was finding somebody that was in the same beautiful energy that I am. And finally, we did meet. And it was definitely, this is the one. And she is extremely supportive. And believe me, I gave her a lot to be supportive over.
Yeah, we go all the way. And it is so true. And I've experienced that as well. You know, I've been in a book, or a couple of books, and in one of them, I was given a very, a chapter guideline, maybe a couple of questions to follow. But if I hadn't been a writer or known how to structure something, that wouldn't have been enough. I would have
Mm.
still thought, oh my God, what am I doing? And I might have just written my story, which would have been potentially very self-indulgent and all about me and not with the reader in mind. So there is this really fine balance. And so what I really do, and as you were saying, I have this chapter guideline, but I also have meetings where we really talk about that balance between teaching and story, like,
Mm.
because other people feel very comfortable in their teacher role, and they give you all the teaching and all the content, but it lacks examples, it
Yeah.
lacks connection. And so finding that balance between story and teaching, between your personality, yourself, your person, your life, and your expertise is a really beautiful golden like a, what's it called, the golden means. Like
Hmm.
it's a fine balance, and that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm strong on. And me on my team, we read all the chapters that come in, not just for grammar, saying, okay, here's tidy
Mm.
this up, here's a comma missing, but no, we look at it from that real perspective. Does it connect? Are you positioning yourself as the expert? Do you have one theme that you're developing, or is your topic, your themes all over the place? You're talking about authenticity, then you're talking about boundaries, and you're talking about
Yeah.
clarity. You know,
Yes.
it's yeah. So we're
Where's the
helping with all
synergy?
of that.
Mm.
Yes, exactly.
It kind of reminds me of, shows like The Voice, etc., when they're mentor. You may have somebody that's pretty seasoned, right? They've kind of done quite well for themselves, but they don't know how to get to that next level. And just that mentorship is um, try this, try that, expand this, lose that. And then all of a sudden there is a new vision of what the song and the music is going to be about. And whether you're working with people that are newbies, never done it before, don't know how to do it, but want their story to be told, or working with people that have done it quite a lot, but maybe have got a little complacent with what they've done and kind of lost the connection to the story along the way. Because ultimately, when somebody is performing, when they make you feel it from the heart, whether it's got a flaw in it, a crack in it, or slightly pitchy, you're connected. It isn't whether it's pitch perfect, great song, sounded great. Where was the connection? And what we're looking for in any chapters, in any books, whether it's a whole solo book or an anthology, where's the connection? We want people to relate, we want people to feel, and we want people to feel connected.
Exactly. And that's why I actually start with my authors with a void to values exercise,
Mm-hmm.
to really understand, for them to connect with their own content in a deeper way, to really understanding, why do I do what I do, in maybe an even deeper level. And so it's literally just taking them in on a meditative journey and a guided journey, looking back at their childhood, thinking, okay, what was absent in my childhood
Mm.
that I was missing? Was it abandonment? Was that, was it connection? Was it love? Was it significance? However things express themselves. And then looking at their life and the points in which they've seeked that or looked for that and sought that out, and how that now relates to the work that they do in the world. Because
Mm-hmm.
when we can make that connection and put that into a story, suddenly everybody knows, like, oh, that's why she does what she does. I get it.
Yes.
Having that origin story so powerfully and so clear, and it helps them to access that deeper layer and level of connection to their content, to themselves, and therefore the connection that the reader can make with them.
It's core rooted. We
Yes.
don't just want the branches flapping in the wind. We want to know that it's rooted at the very, very core and that it can expand from there. But if we don't feel that kind of core, we're kind of looking, well, where are the roots? Where is this really coming from? It's a little
Yes.
all over the place, and it feels more emotional rather than the truth, the core of the story.
Mm. And very often people come to me and they have so many ideas, because as entrepreneurs, we're full of
Hmm.
ideas, we're visionaries, we can
Yes.
do so many things. And then it's about, so how do we bring this into one topic that makes sense, that you're passionate about, but also that makes sense for your business and to take your business to the next level, so that you can create courses around it and
Yeah.
signature programs, etc. And so I think that's where my sweet spot lies as well, in helping people gain that clarity both what makes
Mm,
sense intuitively, but also what makes sense strategically. And then feeding
mm,
that back to them and saying, okay, well, it sounds like from what you're telling me that this is it. And they
yes.
thought, oh yeah. And they get that clarity and therefore the confidence and the trust in themselves. So actually, I can do this. And I've got somebody who has my back, who's done this quite a few times. And it's so beautiful to see. People come to me, they're saying, I've tried of writing a book, like I've started like 5 times and I didn't get anywhere because I just didn't know how to structure it. And
Yeah.
everything was all over the place. And I had things that I could pull in, but I just didn't know how. And so when they come to me and then it's like, wow, now let's take all of your amazing work that you've done for all these years and put it into a framework. And then when
Mm,
that happens, something opens
mm.
up.
Especially if you're doing an anthology. That chapter has to move you, incite you, illuminate you, inspire you, and invite you. It is an introduction to you, and then people want to know more. We don't want it to be conclusional, like that's the end of you, next chapter. We want to know, wow, I'm so inspired by this. I want to meet this person. I want to know more. I want to reach out. And it's like, for me, I feel when you read a good book, it stays with you. It's like
Mhm.
that taste that's with you, and you keep referring to it and you keep going back to it, and it keeps repeating itself in its mind. And, it's like somebody, what did you watch last night? I know I watched a movie, but what was it? It didn't stay with you, it just was something on. But when you've got a book that, kind of really feel you've got your teeth into, that's the reason why this particular genre is called an author's kiss, because it is like a kiss, it is like an embrace, and it keeps on giving. Because you could read that book again and you can find something in it because you're at a different place in time and it speaks to you in a different way. And something I'm always about doing is even saying, opening up a book, what do I need to know today? And there's a page there, there's something on it that really is relevant to where you're at. So there's something about books that are so beautiful because they're always on your shelf, they're always ready to be picked up and looked at, to be spoken about. And of course, book clubs, wonderful to have that. Talk about podcast clubs too, please listen to a podcast and discuss it as well. But with a book club, you've got this out of it, somebody else shares what they've got out of it, and all of a sudden you've got a bigger picture of what that book stands for, which makes it so exciting. You want people to put down the book and feel they were part of the conversation.
Mm. And if you're the one writing the book, it would be really wonderful to create a book club around your book,
Yes,
which becomes like it's almost like a mini membership
yes,
for a particular time and where everybody can share their insights and you're just holding it, facilitating it. And from that, I'm sure clients will come because
yes.
they want to go deeper and they suddenly have questions.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's where, kind of the expanding out from your book then to social media. When I did this, I did a summit introducing everybody, and then of course went live on Live Day with, anybody could come in and ask questions, which next time I would do a lot better because I was a little confused with going live to Facebook. So um, we learn as we go. But it's, having your book out there and creating a particular group page for it on social media where you invite people to come and share what they've got out of it and be interactive with your audience. Now, if this is your book or an anthology and having everybody participate in that, it again expands out, it expands out. And somebody's read one chapter and it's really meant something to them, but they've seen a comment by somebody else and now they want to know more. So it's always that invitation. Inspiration begets invitation.
Hmm.
So what is this 5 author book, the idea that you've got going on?
Yeah, so this idea came out of the realization that a lot of people have been in anthologies already.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's been in business as an entrepreneur for 3, 4, 5 years, they will have been approached at least 5 times by
Yes.
somebody who does an anthology saying, "Hey, why don't you come into this anthology? It'll be good for your business." And a lot of them have enjoyed the experience, gained clarity on their messaging, perhaps done joint ventures with the people in the group, depending on how it was run, but also sometimes have expected more from a multi-author
Mm,
book than they actually received. And so that's where, the multi-author book is great for building the confidence in your writing abilities, in realizing, oh my God, I have a story to share. Because there's people who they don't believe, they know
Yeah.
it, but they
Yeah.
don't believe it.
Yeah.
And so until it's in print and they're holding it in their hand and they're getting the amazing feedback from people, you know, they often don't believe it. So that in itself is a massive growth. But they've been around for a long time. And suddenly, as you were saying, there's a lot of people who are now doing them, hybrid publishers who are now doing them to make a quick money. Everybody
Yeah.
suddenly is everybody suddenly
Everybody's suddenly a
publishes
publisher. Yeah.
anthologies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so that, and there's a few people that are disillusioned, and it's like, oh yeah, been there, done that. Oh, good for you, you're doing that. Oh, I've been there, done that. I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
So that there's a mixed perspective and perception around anthologies. And yet, on the other hand, you've got solo books. And what I've noticed is most people, 80% of my clients who do a solo book with me have done a chapter in a book.
Hmm.
So they've gained that confidence. Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
Um, but what if we created something in the middle? Even those who've been in anthologies but they just don't have the time, but they really want to dive into a particular theme that is curated, not just as a theme of authenticity, but maybe like be more specific. So everybody is aligned in their philosophy, is aligned in their values, and brings their specific expertise to the table. So 5 authors, each writing 10,000 words, which comes to about 3 chapters or the equivalent of 3 chapters, on their particular expertise. And so with a relationship one, I've got one that is sort of sitting there waiting for an invitation for people to come in. I've got one lady has joined. There's so many aspects of relationships.
Mm.
It's called beyond dependence. So how
Mm.
do we not lose ourselves in a relationship? How do we stay empowered in ourselves and create this interdependence? So that from different angles, from the intimacy, from the
Mhm.
communication, from the masculine, feminine. So
Mm.
there's so many topics that can come in where each person can really shine in their area of expertise. And when somebody picks that up, they get such a beautiful, comprehensive thing. And I think it will
Mm.
attract readers who actually want to dive deep into that topic,
Mm.
as similar to how they would if it was a solo book, right?
Yeah, it kind of goes more in depth. Like,
Yes.
the anthologies are wonderful perspectives. You get a chapter of perspective, of illumination, or, wisdom. Wonderful. And again, as I say, I look at it as an invite for more dialogue. Right.
It's the what's the word? It's not the dessert, it's the starter, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. The
And
hors
the
d'oeuvre.
main course.
Right. And, kind of your own book, maybe the main course, and, kind of what you're giving there is like maybe even a dessert there where you're partaking of, a few courses and you're making it a full meal. Um, Going back to what you were saying about being in an anthology, I contributed to this Forgotten Children book, and I was in 2 other anthologies. And one of them was really marketed with summits over 18 months, and it's going to the Emmys, and it's still being pushed a great deal. And there was 262 of us in this book. So it was really more to do with a couple of pages of just shared wisdom, invite. And I've managed to interview 44 of those women out of that to go a little more in depth. But the other book, um, she produced another 3 books after this one. So she did an ebook, and then we had to wait 5 months before we got the paperback because she was producing other books. And we kind of felt a little bit like chopped liver. Like
Mm,
I shared this perspective. I'm behind, ready to promote it, and yet you're already on to the next, and I feel kind of left behind, so to speak. So it
yes,
kind of, you've got
abandoned.
those people that, yes, you've got all these wonderful projects, but how about, if this is your campaign, really putting your effort into one at a time instead of so many and kind of leaving others behind, because that's how we felt, left
Mm,
behind. And, having a book where, yeah, basically that 5 chapter is the full meal, because everybody's kind of getting substance from it, from each chapter for, and it allows the person, as you said, they don't have to go and do the whole book. Do I have enough on this topic to do a whole book? Well, really, no. But 3 chapters is something I know that I
Yeah.
can produce, right? And then what people are getting is 15 chapters of great content, of something to really chew on and digest.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
That's right. And it turns out because, because I'm a hybrid publisher and the business model is that I provide a service and people pay for that. And then it's a marketing expense for the contributors. And they then get, we help them use the book for marketing purposes so that they can then get the clients into their programs. And I'm even thinking, and this again, it will come with, with each book. And if the authors want to do that, creating what's called an integrated partnership where all 5 of them come together and create a high ticket offer.
Yes.
So they each contribute something, they each promote it, and then it's just, again, it's shared. And I think this is where business is going. It's more about partnerships,
Intimacy.
affiliations,
Yeah.
doing things together, which is
Yeah.
so much more fun than the lone wolf syndrome where we're in competition with one another and we're trying
Yeah.
to do it all ourselves.
Yeah.
So that is
And,
the other
and,
thing
and the
I'm
burden,
encouraging with these
the
books.
burden of having all that information that you kind of got to have in one book. But, it's community, but what you're doing is umbrellaing it. And like, I kind of feel that it's more intimate because it is a few people. It's more connective where because you can really digest one chapter to the other and that you can really then set up that conversation. Now, again, for some people, because, when we do the coaching book, we are looking at big numbers, right? But because basically that coaching book is a beautiful directory for you to have a taste of what each of those coaches bring. So it's for you to look at, to read, to get some illumination from, and there's going to be somebody in there that you connect with that you want to reach out to, maybe more than one. So that's what that book is about. And those kind of anthologies are that type of thing. They're an invite, they're a taste of only the hors d'oeuvre. But what you're talking about is the full meal where the conversation can go deep, can really be juicy. And as you said, if you bring the people together that then in complementary of each other and they create a program together, then it really then allows people to go even deeper and expand out even further. I
Yeah.
like the concept a lot.
Mm,
Without the burden of just one book and I'm promoting my one book, there's 5 of us now. We're on the same page. We're on the same
exactly.
wavelength. We're, each one of us has our own expertise, and then we're putting that together as a band, and we're
And
creating
what
that
that,
music that's going
yeah.
to come out. Yeah.
And what that also means is that if somebody, like I have a lady I'm talking to, she does her own teas and she really
Mm.
wants to write a book or a chapter. And I said, well, great, let's find 4 other people that
Hmm.
work in the herbal, work with herbs
Yes.
or mushrooms or something. Let's put
Yes.
you all into a book on, herbal medicine or
Excellent.
plant medicine. So
Yes.
I can, because it's only 5 people, I can be very flexible also with a title, and somebody can come to me saying, well, there's 2 of us, we just need 3 more. Can we do a book on this?
Yeah.
And then we can do that, which is
Yeah.
very exciting as well.
And again, for somebody who's really interested in, that type of thing, that book is going to go the more in depth into it, I think. But for the person on the side of, I don't want to do my whole book. I don't want to pitch my whole book. It's like, it's too much solo,
Mm,
not just the writing and the producing, but now the pitching of it. When you're in a collaboration and you're each supporting each other, right? The band is only as good as everybody's participation there.
yes, exactly.
Then it's like you've got each other's back and you're expanding that out and the camaraderie that can come out of it. And we see kind of quote bands as I'm doing the music anthology that have been together for decades and decades. Who knows what else is going to come out of that, right? How much more expansion for them because of that collective. And when somebody goes to somebody as a coach, I can help you here. I can't help you in the next step. Do I know anyone? I don't know. But if you're already in a collaboration, I'm step 1, she's step 2, he's step 3.
Yes.
And then you've got all those steps under one umbrella, but you feel that you're not being passed on, right? You just feel that somebody else is taking your hand but you haven't lost yourself along the way.
Exactly. So I'm very excited to see the magic that will come from these collaborations, because there's always an element of we don't know what we're going to do until it happens. And I always, expect the unexpected. And that's what always happens in these books. Somebody came in and they said, well, I want to write myself into clarity. I want to really know what I'm doing. And she got so much more than that. She got she said it was the biggest personal development that
Mm,
course that she's ever done. And she's done a lot because she's a coach herself. But that taking your story and putting yourself out there and vulnerably and saying, this is who I am and this is what I stand for
yeah,
in front of your family, in front of
yeah,
potential clients, there is something that gives you that next level of embodiment. And that's something that she hadn't expected.
yeah.
And so there's always something that we don't expect. Even for me, I don't know what's going to happen. All I know, it feels magical,
Mm.
feels
Well,
all
in a lot of
inspiring.
ways, you're in discovery with them because
Yes,
they're coming to you, with a seed that they want to plant, and they've got an idea of what the bloom is going to look like. But with your nurturing and guidance, all of a sudden, they've got a unique flower there that they never thought they had seeded, right? And
yes.
and that's the thing is we are not meant to do things alone. I've done too much on my own and I get screwed up because of it, because I'm not an expert in all fields. When we have somebody that really knows what they're doing, this is their passion, their meaningful purpose, and they're there to help you illuminate your meaningful purpose, then we've really got the nectar, right?
Yeah,
The real nectar.
exactly. Yes, and you said it so well, and that's exactly what I see my genius or my zone of genius being, is to bring that out of
Mm,
people, put it into a framework that makes sense, give them the confidence to write it or to record it. That's another way.
yeah,
You don't necessarily have to be a writer. You can be interviewed
condition.
and
Yes,
transcribe it.
yeah,
So there's so
yeah,
many ways. Nothing these days with the technology out there
yes.
will hold you back from writing a book and getting your mission, your message, and your story out there.
The thing is to understand we all have a story.
That's
Do not
right.
sell yourself short. I've had people say when I've said, I'd love to do a podcast with you, but why? And it's because I believe that you have something to share. But who wants to listen to my story? And I say, never underestimate your story. It may feel small to you, but somebody else is going to hear it and it's going to feel really big because it's answering something, it's illuminating something. I've just interviewed somebody and she was on the crossroads of transition in life, wanting to be a coach. And it was like, am I ready for it? Or, all that, should I or shouldn't I? And she overheard a conversation of a husband and wife talking about going to Disneyland with their kids, of when to do it. And she said, if we don't do it now, when? And that just suddenly became her pivot. Like, if I don't do it now, when will I do it? Just go and
Mhm.
do it. And that's the thing. We never know what's in that book. What sentence that might be that something that pivots somebody in the right direction.
That's exactly right. And we are so close to our story that it becomes normal to us.
Uh-huh.
But somebody else who has a
Mm,
completely different story looking at our story might think, oh my God, that's amazing.
yes.
I don't know how to do this. And for us, it's like, well, doesn't everybody know how to do this? No,
Hmm.
not everybody knows. Because
No.
as you said, we can't be experts at everything. So yeah, it's never ever underestimate the value and the power of your story, because we wouldn't be here
Hmm.
experiencing the things. We all have this unique blueprint. Based on our beliefs and experiences, we create this unique cocktail of wisdom, of personality, right? And bringing that out and sharing that will help somebody else. And you may have a humor, or as you said, the word, that phrase that really lands for somebody that they may not have gotten from Tony Robbins, because Tony Robbins doesn't use your word or your phrase.
Exactly. But going back to that words, it's you listen to somebody and it sounds very profound. I'm going back to like last night because these shows are pre-recorded, folks. So last night I listened to the Democratic Convention in the States. Living in Canada, we're right next door. So what goes on there definitely has an effect on us. And the Obamas came out, right? I mean, talk about perfection. and getting a message across and really speaking in a way that is engaging and inviting. And everybody kind of the next day coming out with their own little memes, their own little thing on yes, we can, and do something, and time to step up, and it is. We have no idea how impactful somebody's passion for something, right? Nobody can do speeches like that. Yes, they may be great speech writers or, all the right words, but without the right feeling behind it, it will fall flat, right? That's the difference between people that are driven passionately with what they believe in and to people that are just trying to say the right thing.
Exactly. And talking about words, I would love to share just a few keys on if there's somebody out there, they say they have a book maybe, but they don't exactly know what the title is or what to call it. So I just wanted to give a little snippet of a few tips. Like if you're out there, you say, well, I just want to do it myself. Or if you're out there thinking, well, I have something and I want to bring a title to Krystal or to whoever, just to get an idea. So here's what to look out for in any title. It's got to be the actual title needs to be up to 3 words, like Our Forgotten Children, 3 words, right? It's anything longer than that becomes too complicated and it confuses the reader, and a confused mind doesn't buy. It's not catching. So you've got to catch the reader. It needs to be interesting and memorable. So you can take some creative license as well. And often the title doesn't actually tell you what it's about. So for example, if you see a book that's called Release, you can know the theme, but you don't know what exactly that might be.
Is it
And
talking
that's what
about
the
fishing?
subtitle is for.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Is it talking about fishing? Release the fish
Yeah,
back into the
exactly.
water,
That's
Yeah, it's
right.
too elusive. Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to be in the title, you want to be interesting and memorable, as well as curiosity provoking. So something that makes people just stop, like, oh, leaning in. Like what is
Yeah.
something that can make people lean in? But I've created titles called Inspired Living or Inspired Creators. So that's Inspired Creators maybe makes you lean in, but Inspired Living is a big theme, and it was for an anthology. But then I specified in the subtitle. So the subtitle is where you give the reader the promise of the book. What are they and the benefits, or the problem that they're going to overcome, the transformation that they're going on. So any subtitle needs to be a benefit-driven sentence, really.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. That explains that provoking, that show-stopping, scrolling title that you've created. Now, the other thing that you can do is if you have a title, you're not quite sure if it's good, punch it into Amazon and see what else is coming up around that. So then you look at or punch the themes that you're wanting to write something about into Amazon and look at what books are successful. Which books, and then look, can I identify a theme in both the title that they're using, the subtitle? What are they doing well? Why is one book on manifestation doing well and another isn't? Yes, of course, it can be the audience size of the author, but there's also other things at play. And so the way you find out if a book is successful on Amazon is, one, you scroll down to the reviews, or you can see how many reviews has this book. If there's 100+ reviews, yeah, okay, this is a winner. If there's 3 or 4 or 10, yeah, maybe not so much. So that's one thing. The other thing, you can scroll down and see the ranking of the book at the moment, like where does it sit? And again, you just need to scroll down the page a bit and you'll see it where it sits on Kindle. So those are some tips on how to choose a provocative title that sells, that engages, that captivates the reader's attention. And that's something, of course, that I help with as well. And we often fine-tune titles, but I think it's important to have an overview. A lot of the time, authors come to me saying, I want to write about my journey out of childhood trauma, or whatever it might be. Now, firstly, it's far too long. Secondly, it's got me, my, I in the title, and those books don't sell as well because they're not reader focused.
Right. Right.
Unless I know what's in it for me listening to your story, I may not want to pick it up because we are all in the what's in it for me. That's the big,
Yeah.
radio, tuned into that radio station. That's the biggest one. And so if I'm a stranger looking at on Amazon, seeing my journey out of childhood trauma or my healing journey after rape or whatever it might be, it's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe not, I need to know why I should read your story, if you're just going to be indulgent in it and just sharing about your story, or whether you're actually teasing out the universal themes, giving me some coping strategies that have helped you. Then it becomes a book that is valuable for the reader to read. And whilst, because as I think I said it before, every story, and I'm not sure if I said it in this podcast, every story needs a teaching point. Like we need to
Yes.
tease out the universal theme, right? And every teaching point needs to have a story. Yeah, I did say it in the beginning. That's really important. And you can make that clear in the title that you know what you're talking about, that you are here to give the reader something by not doing maybe the my will be in the subtitle, my realizations, da, 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 but it might not necessarily need that. It's more about how to overcome childhood trauma, or
Right. So I did everything wrong for my own personal book. Right. I've got 5 words here: Sarah's self-discovery to soul living, and then spiritual reflections and stories of a journey to heart and soul loving. So all way too much. But of course it is my memoir. So
Yes.
I went with that. And of course, everything you've just said, yes, I did wrong. The Our Forgotten Children was something that I knew I wanted to do, and like Our Forgotten Seniors, it's very poignant on what it is about. And I had that definitely down part. When it came to my own personal one, and I think it's so much easier when you're doing a book on something you're passionate about, like children or like seniors, like I am. But when you're doing one on yourself and your memoir, and so many people are writing memoirs nowadays, and I wrote one only because other people asked me for it. So it's there and kind of like over there, you know. um, the title was a nightmare, a nightmare. Because it is about me. Um, but what do I say? And I know that eventually I just went, oh, that, and just put it up there, right? Because at this point, I just got kind of fed up and frustrated with the book. Let's just put it out, let it be what it is, and concentrate on what I need to do, which was for me at that time, the Forgotten Children. So,
Mm.
yeah, the other thing I didn't realize is, of course, I was trying to marry in self-discovery with self-discovery wisdom, because this has been a great deal part of my journey, 12 years of my life, but also a great revelation. So I was trying to marry that title into that. But when I started looking at how many books out there on self-discovery, right? So it's another thing to look at. Oh, you've got a great title. How many other people have got a variation of that title? And so that's another thing to really be wary of.
Exactly. Like once you have your theme and your topic, do your research on Amazon, and then know what makes my take on this theme, on this topic, unique, and see if you can
Yeah.
get that reflected in the title.
Yes. Um, and I think this was a self-publishing book, and I know that many other people do that. And as I said, it got to a point where I'd had enough of it, right? And it's out there, but you do need somebody like with you with Our Forgotten Children. The book cover I had an idea of, and there was one thing I was very specific about, was what was the image of the children in there.
Silhouette, yes.
But you took it over, and the coloring, the way you laid it out, the wording and all of that, but all in collaboration. What do you think of this and what do you think of that? We get sometimes too close to something.
Mm.
And this was a 5-year project for me of wanting to do this. So it was too close. And having somebody whose expertise it is, who could look at it from a different aspect, for a different perspective, can just kind of refine and finesse something, still getting across your message, but do it in a way that's more articulate, because that can run into a problem when we are too close to something.
Mm. Yeah, I'm just doing a book with one of my clients, and he had in his title was my journey from hate into self-acceptance. And I was like, oh, we can't do that. That's so we're still negotiating because it's such a, it's so heartfelt, and I
Yeah,
understand that. It's so how do we marry what the original
yeah,
intention is with what strategically is going to help
yeah,
people want to pick this book up, right? Which is ultimately the intention for why we're writing it. Yes, we're writing it for our own sense of completion, for our own healing as well. And yeah, it's an interesting balance to really honor the vision of the author, which is very important to me because
yeah.
otherwise you might as well go to a traditional publisher who is only interested in the marketing message and
And yes,
potentially
and
lose
don't
you.
want to hear a thing from you, which, I've been down that road, and that's the reason why I didn't go any further with them and kind of gave up and went out on my own in putting this book together until I discovered you. Thank God it came to the rescue. Um, because it just felt like, and it's the same thing when I've had people try and redesign my site. No, you're not giving me anything I want. You're giving me something that you see that you like, or that is the latest look of a website, but it's not representing the representation of what the work is. And everybody knows I'm colorful. Everybody knows there's going to be graphics. Everybody knows this. And if you're taking that away, I'm just generic like everyone else. And I couldn't get people to listen, right? And it's took me a long time to become who I am. I don't want to lose myself in generics again. So, that's the same with a book. It's something you've taken time and, love and everything else, whether it's a chapter, whether it's a full book, part of a book, you've put your heart and soul into it. So you really do want that representation. And that means you need somebody that hears you, sees you, and feels what it is you're trying to get across, but brings their expertise and how to refine the message.
That's exactly it. It's just a refinement without losing the essence and losing the soul of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, that's kind of when it comes down to it and you're putting that book out, whether you're a part of an anthology or whether you are, it's your solo book or the five-person book, it's something you want to stand by. It's something you want to be proud of. You want people to also know that when they read it and they meet you, they can identify, right? Because the energy that they got from reading it, and when they meet you, the essence is there. That
Mm.
connection is already made. I also want to address colors of books. And like you may notice, I have a white book behind me. May look great close up, but also when you're putting out a book cover, think about social media and what it looks like. And I had a hell of a time promoting this book. I actually had to create a background and to put it on so it would stand out because it washed out on this social media. So, when you're doing a book cover, that's also equally as important. The other thing is one of my pet peeves is an all black book with red writing. And yes, there are some kind of things that yes, it looks good. I've got these are all authors that I've interviewed in the background here. And there's been a couple of black books that were poignant to what was on there, but so many people go into the black book and the red writing, and it disappears as well. So you've got to remember what you're marketing, your title, the book cover, um, the whole thing about it is in people are going to eat with their eyes before they are going to digest what has been written.
Exactly. And whilst, there is a reason why the saying is there, don't judge a book by its cover, because that's what people do. And
Yes.
the saying is there that so we retrain ourselves to say,
Mm.
well, there's more to it than the first layer of what you
Yeah.
see. But very often especially with our low attention,
Mm.
um, to detail, we often don't go past something that hasn't got an engaging title or an appealing visual representation or a book cover, right?
Yeah, exactly. And especially, if you're on Amazon and you're looking at books, unless you have a title, if you're going into a bookstore, what stands out for you? And if something is nicely colored or there's a great a cover or scene or something on the book, you may not actually like the content, but the cover damn well good. And that's what's drawn you in. So you really want the cover and the title to represent what it is they're going to get when they open the book.
Yeah.
Very important. And of course, with an anthology, it's the overall that you're representing. It isn't the one person, even if it's one person putting it on. For me with the Forgotten Children, it was brought to you, for insights from the Orchard of Wisdom organization, because it's the organization that is behind the book, not me. I'm the conductor, but it's not me. And it's that same thing is when you're doing an anthology, does it represent the message, the collective message out there?
Mm.
So we have, I love the idea of the five because that's really like a real good meal. Definitely a meal. When you're looking at being a part of the big anthology, yeah, the appetizers, the teasers, the invite to you, that shared, nuggets of wisdom that then invites people to want to know more and reach out to you. And as I said, the book that we're going to be producing in the spring is that. It is for coaches. No matter what they are, whether it's health or business coaches, it is for coaches. And the main theme of it is all about our self-discovery, because aren't we in self-discovery, who we are, what we're here to do, how are we here to do it? And there are so many people that are on the brink or in that transition or know that where they're at isn't where they're meant to be. And they just need that help to pivot them forward. So it is more of a book to share that wisdom as an invitation for, from coaches to, can I be of service? This is a taste of who I am.
And it's perfect for the coach who is either very new at their business and
Mm,
doesn't really fully trust themselves that they can write a full book or even a
mm,
5-author book, or they want to write themselves into clarity around their niche. That can happen. And it's perfect for the coach who's been in business for quite some time, but maybe has hit like a stagnation,
yeah.
and they need to bring a little bit of fresh air into their business by collaborating with others and rediscovering their passion and having a little bit of a marketing boost at the same time.
And of course, we have a 3-tier. So it's a 3-tier according to your own affordability of what you can afford to be in there, how much you want to invest in it. And that very often will come to obviously the kind of the success of the coach or where they're at right now. Or maybe somebody's got that marketing thing and go, I really do want to go all in, but we want to make it available, for the beginner and the seasoned, or the person that just says, no, this is where I'm at. I'm going to look at this as my promotional piece, because of course they get podcasts from me, they get the Y show, but they will also get their chapter show. And they will do
Yes.
summits, and another level they get your podcast as well, and of course if they go to the high level they get their picture on the back of the book. So it's all a question of how far they want to go into it, but it is a book about representing who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and whom it serves.
Yes.
So anthologies are great because of that. They are an
Exactly.
introduction. They are sharing beautiful nuggets. What you're doing with the 5-person is going more in depth, sharing deeper, and the expansion of what can come from that. And then for somebody who's like, what, I'm ready. I'm ready to put my own book out. I've had a taste of the anthologies. I feel I have enough to get out there. Now it's just a question of formatting it into clarity so that it is ready. And so it doesn't matter where somebody is, you're ready there to help them on whatever level.
Exactly. And on any level, the realizations that come out are so they really
Mm,
literally are awe-inspiring. Like I was sitting down thinking, well, what is the essence of what I provide? It's that awe-inspiring empowerment, those realizations of, wow, and I have some really amazing exercises, writing exercises as well, that really help us to tap into our intuition and the clarity that comes from them
mm,
for people who are experts in their field and still they get, now I know what it is, just from a
mm.
very simple writing exercise. I think that's one of the other unique gifts that I bring to the table in at any stage, anthology 5, what do we call the fortunate 5? I don't know what, The famous five, there's that book,
Oh, I like, as
called
I remember those. I
Drama
grew
Book.
up with those, the
Famous
famous
five,
five.
yes.
Yeah. Five levels deep.
Yes, that's
I
nice.
like
That's
that one.
that's nice too. Beautiful.
Um, and that's the thing that makes you different to a lot of other people. You have the expertise. You've trained for this, right? This isn't just something you stepped into. You have the credentials.
Yeah,
And
not just one. I actually did two trainings to get the different perspectives.
but you've taken that training and the tools, but you apply the tools from a soul perspective, from a heart's perspective. You want the essence of the person, of really what they're trying to say to come out, not just the words on paper. So you're just taking all the skills and tools you know to navigate the finesse, the refinement of it, but bring out of them that extra spice in there that they are not acknowledging.
Yeah, I love the way you said that. That's exactly how it is. That's exactly what happens. Yes.
One has to be passionate about what you do, and I know you are. You know, it's not just because you're good at it and you can do it. It's because you're passionate about somebody's story, whether it's a chapter, whether it's a book, you know, of it coming out and somebody standing there, you know, I've just got my book and the big smile, and their journey begins with their book. Is that you're helping somebody birth something. And that really is much, much deeper than just the written word.
It really is. It creates a transformation. And I always have this saying, when you write a book with me, you have a personal transformation that will give you professional expansion because it's who we become in the process
Yeah,
of creating this book. And I'm not even saying writing, and because we did not necessarily writing it, we may be recording it, right?
yeah.
But who you become in the process of creating your book is that next level of your identity, and therefore how you show up in the world will be different regardless, irrespective of how well the book is doing and
Right.
all of those, marketing things.
And you include ebooks, the written, you know, published paperback, hardback, or audio. It's all
Yes.
whichever way.
Well, the audio we're still playing with. It's not included in the packages, but we're
Right.
playing with putting that in.
And of course, a
That's
lot
what
of
you are
people.
including, right? In
Yes,
our book
yes,
that we're doing, that's
yes,
definitely going
yes.
to be an
That's where
audio
I'm
version as
at right
well.
now, is about to take the audio side of it because I had to put myself on pause while I
Yes.
moved. And then grandchildren were handed to me 3 days a week. So it's now the balance of that. But yes, because I know an awful lot of people. I don't have time to sit down and read a book, but I have time to listen to a book while I'm driving to work, while I'm walking, while I'm doing this, while I'm doing that. So, you know, whichever way, whether it's an ebook, I still personally prefer to have a book in my hand and turn the pages. But I do understand the appeal of the audiobook as well for people who simply don't have the time to sit down, but have the time to listen,
Yeah.
right? And we all receive information in different ways. So whether they're reading it online or reading it as a book or reading listening to it as an audiobook, it's there's a favorite way that we have and the way that we connect, and that's okay. And so yeah, definitely all reaching out to that. Um, I'm looking forward to our project together
Me too.
next year. Yes, I've talked about our Forgotten Seniors that I'm about to do. And yes, I will be going to Krystal once we've got everyone together. And I've got sponsorship for the book because I need sponsorship this time, folks. But I'm going to compile in the month of September, I'm going to compile all the people that will be in the book, and we will be putting out a teaser summit on who is in the book and what their chapter is going to be about, and then looking for sponsors that want to be around the book, because then I hand it over to Krystal, and she helps people with the chapters, and then I know I'm going to get a book not only to be proud of, that everybody can be proud of, but done right. And for me, done right, yeah, nuts and bolts, T's crossed, dots, dies, all of that type of thing, but done right, that the heart and soul of the message from the book is felt with every word.
Mm.
So, whether you are wanting to be a part of anthology, because they don't have to wait to be invited for other people you can actually put people together as an anthology in more than the 5. So you can work with that. So if people are saying to you, coming to you and go, okay, I want to be in an anthology. I don't know what, this is what I do. You can marry that together and create that book. So you don't have to wait to know somebody who's doing it, because Krystal's forte is that. And maybe you've piqued the interest with, I really want to be a part of that that dinner that is full-bodied with the refined wine, and really be a part of the 5 and go 5 levels deep and really put it in there. So, or you've got that solo book,
Yeah.
you're ready for that. So whatever level you're at, and if you just want to have a conversation with Krystal to find out where to go next, what to do, because very often we don't go forward because we don't know what to do. So have that conversation with Krystal. So how do they get hold of you? And also to look at your site and see all the other things that you've done so they can see for themselves.
So my website is hillehouse.org. This is HILLE, hillehouse.org. And I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me there or through the website. On LinkedIn, just with my name, Krystal Hille, with an E at the end as well.
And Krystal is Krystal, folks. Hille, Hille. And of course, you'll find her under the orchardofwisdom.org under our Forgotten Children. She is mentioned there as the person who published the book for us. We've done shows together before, and you can catch all her shows underneath there as well. She's also under our mentorship program as well, because this is what she's doing. She's mentoring you to bring out the excellence of you through the written word. So thank you so much, Krystal, for being back here with us again today. Again, I'm loving with the direction that you're going in. And podcasts are great because you do have a podcast, you do interview your authors, you do get that wonderful message as part of your package to interview the authors and bring that out. And you have a whole campaign for the anthologies when they come out to really promote them and get everybody up to that Amazon's bestseller list and everything as well. But again, something about that written word, whether people read first, then listen, or listen and then read, it's just an expansion of that knowledge, which is wonderful and tangible and pick upable and shareable at any time, which is wonderful. So thank you so much, Krystal. And
Thank you
until
for
next,
having me again, Sarah.
always, anytime, baby, anytime. And to everyone else out there, please, just as much as I want to interview you on your story and share it, I also want to invite you to write it. It could be just a chapter in a collective. It could be part of the 5 because you've got something deeper on there. It could be that you're ready to write that solo book. Please share your story. You have no idea of whose life you're going to change because of it. Until next time, bye for now, folks. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.